start with what do I have?
Sorry.
Okay. No problem. And what do I already have at my disposal? So I did a lot of research based on makeup shades, and I spoke to a lot of makeup artists or department stores and kind of grade and categorize makeup shades that already exist, like MAC and Bobbi Brown and brands like that. And makeup was the basis of the tight shade. So I actually, once I found my manufacturer, sent little pots of foundation for them to replicate onto tights. And that's kind of how I got started. Um, but yeah, I think it's just about being creative and uh, trying to find ways to solve solutions that
But
are very different and
I'm
a bit
just
out of the box.
I'm just thinking, have you had any kind of maybe an academic background in maybe cosmetics, maybe science, anything of that sort, manufacturing?
So So I didn't come from a fashion background, and when I
Oh,
did,
yo, yo.
hello?
Yes,
How's it
we can hear
going?
you.
Yeah, yeah. The ones have been left a bit mad.
Sorry.
Okay. I didn't come from a fashion background. I studied international, sorry. So I studied international business, and I think that was helpful because I think it gave me the confidence to be able to be like, yes, I can start a business, and I kind of know the process. Not that I had done it before, but I think the gaps were that I hadn't started a fashion brand, or I didn't have any connections in the business world. So what I did do is surround myself with people who were doing things and were in the business world. And so I went on Eventbrite. I don't know if people know about Eventbrite, but it just has all the events that are going on in London and the UK. And I typed in business fashion and I turned up, and I started networking and sharing my ideas. And that's really kind of what gave me my first big breaks and my first key connections.
What are times that you wanted to give up?
There's many times. There's
Okay,
there's
share the challenges. Let us see what actually you went through.
so quite early on, well, I'll tell you one of the first key connections and how that led me to my
Okay.
manufacturer, and then kind of what was the challenge that um, was created there. So I mentioned that I started going to fashion events, and one of the first events that I ever went to was run by the London College of Fashion called the Business of Fashion. At that point, I had not started. I'd only just done some Google research. I Googled all the manufacturers that existed in the UK, but I hadn't done anything. So there was a lady on the panel whose name was Emma Willis, and she spoke a lot about the difficulty of finding a good manufacturer. And so at the end of the panel, I asked a question and I said, this is the business that I'm starting. I've done research and I don't know who to trust. And that's why I haven't called anyone because I'm fearful that they'll steal my ideas. And she said, actually, I have a friend in the hosiery business. Talk to me afterwards and I'll put you in touch. This friend that she happened to know was the largest distributor of tights in the UK, and she knew everybody. This was one of the first events that I ever went to, and I asked the first question. And this person put me in contact with the person that deals with tights in the whole of the UK. So I met my manufacturer through this woman,
Okay.
and we did all of the sampling process through this connection. Um, what happened was we'd gone through a lot of legal documents, and they had changed hands. Basically, they changed ownership and we had to redo legal documents. And I was in a position where they wouldn't sign a new contract. And I was like, I'm not going to proceed if we're not going to sign this new contract. Um, and what happened in the end is I had to pull out and I had to find someone else. But I later found out that they went bust. So had I just kind of been like, you know what, it doesn't matter, I would have lost a lot of money, tens of thousands of pounds.
Okay.
And I think it's in that moment. So my manufacturer fell through. I had a date. We were going to miss the launch date. And in that moment, I had to think, how do I start this process again? And I think God always prepares us for the next phase. And in that process, I learned where in the world I want to manufacture, where in Italy, and that was Italy, where in Italy I want to manufacture. And I'd learned a lot about the process of manufacturing, sampling, everything. So by that point, even though I had dodged a bullet, I was equipped to take a flight out to Italy and find a new manufacturer on my own. I don't speak Italian. I didn't drive at the time, so I was trusting the kindness of strangers to drive me
Okay.
to place. But yeah, so I think it's in those moments when you're kind of on your own in the street, in the rural areas of northern Italy, trying to find a manufacturer. And I think it's those moments where you do want to give up, but God is on your side and keeps you pushing forward.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna come back to you. And when I'm back to you, I think I'm just gonna give you a heads up. Would because this is something that we want to like looking at the kind of path that you told, and many people would want to get there. So my next question when I come back will be, why is entrepreneurship even important? Why is it necessary for young people? And the issue of capital. So I'll come back
Mm,
to you.
okay.
All right. My brother Charles.
Yeah, I'm on now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You delve into the place of tourism, hospitality, and all of that. What was the beginning like?
So initially I had a travel and tour business, but initially I was doing that as a hobby, obviously doing for people without charging them. So I met one of my mates in the army, and then we had a discussion. He was also into a travel and tour business. He was doing schools and other stuff as well. So yeah, we had a conversation, and then we come into a conclusion that we can look into the Ghanaian market and the Ghanaian tourism system and then probably push through. So I think in the year 2026, I was in Ghana to study the market and all that. And then he went back in 2027. So he finally came back in 2028, early January, and then we decided, yeah, we need to set up a business. So
Okay.
that's when literally location across started in the year 2028.
So what do you guys actually do? In case somebody is there doesn't know what location Accra is, what do you guys actually do?
So we are into tourism, hospitality, and everything, like anything that deals in tourism, basically.
So what was the challenge? I know you like travel, and it looks like you managed to fake your hobbies and what you like best, and you turn into a lucrative venture.
Yeah.
How, like, was it that simple?
It wasn't that simple. Obviously, like with me having a young family, and then I had to travel like 3 times in a year to Ghana. It wasn't that easy.
3 times a year, is it just because of the startup? Like,
Yeah, just because of the startup, and then obviously make sure like the company stands firm.
interesting. So how did you get money to start? Or you
Initially,
didn't need money
so
in the first place?
the business was set up by 3 people. So what we started doing was we made contribution towards the setup.
Okay.
Yeah, we made contribution towards the setup. So we were at everywhere, like the Ghanaian community is literally everywhere, making sure like people will get to know about location Accra and what our ideas were all about.
So was that a form of marketing for you, and did it work?
Yeah, I will say yes, it was a form of marketing for us that time.
But why marketing within Ghana when I don't know if they would want to travel within their own space, or is there a space around that people would want to like explore?
So the marketing wasn't actually done in Ghana. We had like reps in other countries like the States. We had reps in Germany. We had reps in the UK. So literally they were doing the marketing in those places, like in the States, in Germany, and then the UK as well.
Okay.
We had marketers in China. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. But you talk about you had partners, people that you were working with. So far, how you've come, what is your idea on partnership? Is it good? Is it bad? If somebody is here per adventure, maybe two, three people would want to come together. And I think it's something that we need to encourage, because sometimes maybe if you want to do like or single-handedly go into maybe one business, probably you wouldn't have the strength or the muscles it takes to be able to pull the strings that it needs to be able to let that business scale up. But if you could be able to partner, but somebody might have also have a bad experience with respect to partnership. So
Well,
what is your
well,
take?
it depends on the direction you want to go. We always say it takes two to tango.
Okay.
Yeah. So your partner might know, other people to bring them on board as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just look, tourism business is just not like a one party business. You have
Okay.
to know the people. Yeah, you have to know the people. Your clientele base should literally be bigger so you can market it everywhere.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna come back to you. And when I'm come back to you, should I give you a heads up?
I'm ready for
You don't
anything.
want it. So let me surprise you. Let's go to, please, if you have any question. I think it's just because of all of us gathered here, and that is why we're doing this. At the end of the day, the most important part of it is that out of this webinar, out of this meeting that we're having, somebody will be able to energize, say, okay, was able to get up again and start my business. I was able to begin to start up something, like bring ideas together. We're able to partner to be able to do this and do that. So I think what we're looking for is results. And so if you have any question, please and please again, there will be time for questions. You can also drop your question in the chat there, and we will be able to open up, let the question be asked to our speakers, and they will gladly answer us. Thank you. Brother Henry, let me come to you. I think you just began the journey, so take us back. Like let's see, because for your own, I thought it was just if somebody would want to go into that field, I would look at it maybe like a charity kind of thing. But so how then do you, like, were you able to turn this whole rehabilitation into a business like venture?
Um, I think when we started, it was it's kind of like a two phase. First, we look at the charity, and we know it's going to take time to register and put things in place because of the requirement of it. Then the other stage was okay. We're just going to go straight into business. Then we'll figure out later how we could make it to be a charity one. So the idea was just, but I would say we basically based the business, to be a business venture rather than just link it up to a charity. Well, I would say the reason why it was formed, I could give a quick background to it, because I've been in the justice system for some time now, working court, work with a similar organization dealing with ex offenders, being in rehabilitation, been around the prison services. So it leads me to think, okay, now I've seen enough to believe and to know the reason why one of the main factor why people most times commit crime, you know, when they haven't got any stability. And shelter is a key component in this part of the world, because of the weather is cold. And some people, when they're out there and they think, turn left and right, there's no place to sleep. So the only thing that'll come in their head is to go and commit a crime
Okay.
because they want to go to prison because they think that's the only way they could go and get a shelter and get a good meal and hot water and a nice place to sleep. So they think, yeah, let me go and do stupid things and go back to prison. So because I've been around and I've seen the way young people, not just young people, our people are going to crime easily. So I said, okay. So when I finished my degree, I went straight to doing in court, like I said earlier on, worked there as an advisor to most of the court users who came to court and how best we could support them in terms of their sentencing. So we're working alongside probation and the duty solicitor. So again, I left there, I went to work in an other organization dealing with rehabilitation as well. So that's where I learned my trade. And
Okay.
I get to see firsthand information, even go to prison and see some of the situation, because you go to prison, you see like 10 people up for release, and they will stand outside and tell you, I'm going to come back this evening because I haven't got nowhere to sleep, you know. And funnily, the time will finish and they haven't got nowhere to go. And again, for example, if they used to live around the Enfield area or any other borough, some of them they've had the restriction not to go to that particular area, and they have their family there, and they have all friends and everybody within that area, and you're stopping this person to go back to that place. So what do you want the person to do? So that's how we try and figure out and say, okay, if we try and get these people into housing and just rehabilitate them, for them to know that there's more out here than being in prison because they're wasting their time in prison. They've been there 6, 7, 12 years, 15 years, and they come out knowing nothing. The only thing they know is just how to commit crime. So that's how we started the whole process in working alongside prison services and all the stakeholders in the justice system.
Wow. But looking at from the angle that you're speaking to, it means that you needed to put a lot of governance systems because you not need to be in touch with this council, you need to be in touch with this borough, you need to do this paperwork and all of that. I think sometimes with respect to if somebody would want to get into that line of business, the bureaucracy, all the things that comes with it, I think it's kind of like more doubting and uh, like very challenging to be able to. So how do you juggle all of these ones?
Yeah, I've got people asking all these questions. If you're not within the sector, I wouldn't say you wouldn't be able to do it because there's everything that you could go on the internet and search for stuff. But the only way that could make it easy when you know the system, when you've been there, you've seen it, and you know exactly documents that they need. It's not just any other document you're just gonna find. And again, most people do rehabilitation in a very low key way, and it's difficult for you to work with the main stakeholders because the people that you're working with are low people. These are people who are governmental organizations. You're talking about the probation. Probation will never give you a document without them knowing that you're authentic, you're legal, and you're registered with all bodies because their document they're giving you is somebody's life. They're going to send you what they call as Oasis report, which entails from the day you're born to everything you've done so far in your life is in that document.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not a document that they will just send to you just like that. They have to prove that it's a secured document because that's how it's written. So one step that you need to take first is to register with the Ministry of Justice because the probation is under the Ministry of Justice. So you have to register with them and have a secure email because you're not just going to send them any emails. No, you need to have a secure email with the criminal justice mailing system. That's the CJSM. So you have to have that one for you to be able to receive their document. So once you've registered, because the council are just like the final stage, but the main stage is getting all these people to recognize what you're doing with the National Probation Service, with the prison service as well, because you go back to prison, the same thing. They want to know much about you to say, look, we're not just going to throw these boys out and we don't know where you're putting them and what are the risk factors that you're going to take into consideration. Because, again, they want to know how you could house them. For example, let's give you like 4 or 5 boys. Do you have the capability to assess the risk and know whether these people are meant to be in the same environment? You're not just going to take 4 gang members and put them in one house when this one maybe, well, they have different gang names, but I don't think it's important now here. You have somebody from Peckham that doesn't go along with somebody from Lewisham. So you have these 2 people, put them in the same house again. That means you're starting a war. Somebody's going to die anyway because of that. So again, you have to have that registration again with the gang unit because the police has a particular department in every borough. You know, they are the gang unit of the police force, wherein everybody that have been in gang related, as long as they've arrested you before, or the name of your gang is on their database. So if they type your name and your date of birth, it will come up and they will tell you exactly whether this person should be in Enfield or not, or whether this person should be with Henry, because they have the names and they have the restrictions. So that's another area that you need to register again with. Then the document that you're putting in place, this is not just document that you just say, okay, let me make a tenancy agreement and put it down. No, it has to be a license agreement as well because everyone coming out from prison is on license. So you have to work alongside the license agreement that they're giving them outside, which of course the probation is the primary custodian of them when they're out. And when they were with you as well, you have to take responsibility. So it entails all these documents to put them in place and they have to be verified and probation has to be satisfied, prison service has to be satisfied, and the only reason why they are making sure is when something happened, because that's the essence of putting all this paperwork to make sure whatever you're putting is the right one. Because when something happened, they'll go back and say, "Oh, this organization registered with this body, and they were responsible to look after this young man." So these are the documents they produce. They have to check it to make sure they're authentic before you could get the kind of accreditation for them to work with you directly. So it's a lot of paperwork. Then after you've done all that, then again you have to link up again with all the boroughs that you're planning to work with.
Okay.
And that's where the headache is. Yeah.
All right. Looking from when
It's a lot to take
it's a
in.
lot. It's a lot. But looking from when you were beginning and now, how do you juxtapose like the difference? How do you look, okay, when it was just an idea, and now that you've been able to, I think you've been able to put like 6 units of places, even more, and you have like you're doing a lot now, plus housing a lot of people, putting systems in place. When it was an idea and now that you've been able to do and contributing this much to society, was it worth it? Would you be able to say it's a journey that you would want to go every now and then?
Yeah, it's a rewarding journey. It's a rewarding journey because from where we started and now I can only say it's by the special grace of God and giving us the patience to deal with it because the challenges are there and it's a huge challenge, and I'm pretty sure most people here now, if you talk about ex-offenders, everybody will have their own mindset about them. So that's one of the thing again that it's another challenge because the moment you say, "Oh, I'm working with ex-offenders," boom, they're bad people. They're going to trash the house. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to do with drugs. So every bad thing comes to your mind.
Mm.
That's where the challenge is. But when you're able to pull one from being that guy that's always going to prison and keep them away from prison for 2, 3 years, that's a rewarding thing. So
Wow.
it gives you the utmost zeal and encouragement to keep pushing and know that I'm changing somebody's life. And we've got some good history about people that have changed that even now some of them are even liaising with the police and some of them are working in schools, just talking to young people about crime and how they could stay away from it.
All right.
So it's
Okay.
rewarding, yeah.
So would want to move into that interview side. I think I have tons of questions to ask every one of you. But let me listen, Charlie. Do you have a question? What would you
Hi,
want to
well,
say?
thank you for joining today. Um, my question is for many of the people who are currently on the chat might be in a position where they have an idea or they're not like personally saying that they're thinking of becoming entrepreneurs and they're not at that place yet. So, what are some of the qualities do we need to have as a person? What kind of mindset do we need to have? What process do we need to go through to have a mindset or to think like an entrepreneur? This is a question for all three of the speakers. 'Cause I know the businesses that you're in are all different, and I think something that Pastor Mike says is like bringing the idea into like the whole manifestation of where it is now, and dealing with all those self doubts and all the challenges that you might have come past and challenges that you might have faced. How did you go through that? How did you develop that entrepreneur mindset? Especially for those who are on the call, who are thinking about starting a business and just want those practicalities, those tools, those steps of thinking like an entrepreneur to start our businesses. And this is a question for all the speakers.
Okay.
Right.
I think I'll go first. One of the things I always said to people, if you think about the money, you wouldn't be able to do anything
Okay.
because there are a lot of business that you do that you don't require the money. You require the brain, and nobody is born as a business person. I never thought I would ever talk about business, to be honest, because all I was thinking when I was growing up is to be a lawyer. At some point to change again, I wanted to be an HR, human resource guy, until I end up being a social worker and a criminologist. So sometimes, what you think in your head is not what's going to happen. It takes the grace of God again to give you that direction. And to be honest, for me personally, I think you don't think about the money. And I'm pretty sure most of you know Sister Josiane, she kind of like push into it to say, because that was the first thing I said when she came to me, because she knows I was in the field for many, many years. And she said, "Oh, you don't think we could do this business?" I said, "Where are we going to start? Where are we going to get the money?" That was my first question. But she encouraged me to say, business is not about money, it's about the mindset. So
Mm.
since she said that to me, that it's the mindset, I said, okay, that's true. Let me go and sit back and think about it.
Okay.
And eventually, we started with nothing. And sometimes when we say that to people, they'll say, nah, it's not true. But we start with zero, nothing. And we are fortunate. Like I always said, when God is ready to bless you, you give you somebody who will support you. I sell the idea to another guy who is dealing with housing because all the paperwork was easy for us because I was in the field. So we kind of like get the paperwork, everything registered, everything was, I was just pushing and get me. And she was concentrating on the website to make sure the website looked fantastic, to get all the information there. I was going with paperwork, so we managed to put all that. But when it comes to the housing, that's where we we just think to ourselves, say, no, this is where we need the money. But again, because I was always talking to people, so eventually I met somebody who said, oh, okay, I could work with you guys, go into percentage, I will give you a house, a 6 bedroom house. Then let's start.
Yeah.
That's how we start. That's how we started. Even though we got a hard time with the gentleman, eventually he managed to take the house back from us and took the boys, and he think he could create the same business, but he doesn't know, because sometimes people think when you're going through business it's a simple thing for you just to go and do. So he manipulated the boys, took them away from us, and he couldn't manage at all. So, but within that time now we've started already, so we kind of like have some few pounds to go ahead with housing, and that was a good start for us with Brent
Mm.
Council. So we were able to liaise with Brent Council until he did what he did to us. Then we try and expand to other boroughs. So, but my advice would say, don't think about the money. If you have the idea, I'm not saying every business don't require money, but the first thing for, if you have the idea, put it down, draw your structure. You don't know who will come along and buy your idea. Again, sometimes it's not good to hold on to your idea, because some people I know, people have the tendency to say, no, if I share my business idea, this person will take it away from me. But I always said, business is for everybody.
Yeah.
If And again, England is a big country, and not just England. If you want to expand your business outside England, you could still do it. So even though somebody might think about doing the same thing, but again, if you have the right mindset and have all what it takes to put everything in place, you could be successful.
Wow.
That's great. Thank you. And I also wanted to ask Talia as well, that kind of mindset from, I came in a little bit late where you're talking about, you traveled to another country, you didn't know anyone, but you still kind of persevered and pushed to achieve and get what you wanted. What was the kind of like the driving force behind that? Is it because it was a passion for what you were doing? Or I don't know, what kind of like pushed you to want to kind of achieve the goal that you set out to do, basically?
I guess for me, it's just understanding what the why was. And in the beginning, as I said, it was that I didn't feel seen by the industry. The hosiery industry and other industries, the hair industry, the makeup industry at the time, just had forgotten Black and brown women. And I thought, we are beautiful people. We deserve space on shelves. We deserve products that are made with us in mind. We deserve to be celebrated. And I think that's worthy of pushing through and traveling for and pushing through challenges as well. But I guess to answer your other question, what other um, mindsets are necessary? I think it's also just being willing to ask for help, and knowing that you can't do everything on your own. And if you try, it's just you're going to burn out and you're just going to give up very quickly. And I think all of us have a network of friends and family, and we have our skills, and they have skills that could be useful for us going forward in business. And what I did is kind of I looked around my circle and thought, who could be helpful in starting this? I had a friend who was really good at marketing and PR. I had a really good friend who was good at finance. So I said, can you help me? And it's not that they were kind of part of the directors of the company, but they really did help me get it off the ground, because we can't do this alone. And I think in terms of getting into retail and things like that, 3 years into the business, we were stocked in Waitrose and John Lewis. And it's about being scrappy, and it's about using your network and being resourceful. The short story of how that happened is I knew who the chairwoman of John Lewis was, which was a newly appointed Black woman, important to note. And I guess it's about doing research as well. But I I follow her. I'd followed her on Instagram, and I knew where she was going to be speaking at. I went to the event. I emailed her
Okay.
after the event, and And then it kind of escalated from there. She thought, oh, why don't we have this product in our stores? And I'd already kind of pitched to John Lewis before, but it's also about knowing the hierarchies and
Mm.
holds the power. But an email is a powerful tool. I've had many partnerships just from cold emailing. So I think sometimes we feel that I'm only one person, we're only three people, and we don't have the resources or access, but we have the internet. We now have ChatGPT, which can go a long way, and we have access to people's emails. So sometimes we feel there's a lot of gatekeepers, but what's stopping you from emailing your dream partner? Because that's
Okay.
what I literally.
And I
Wow.
wanted to also, that's really inspiring because one thing that just came to my mind is understanding that some of the characteristics, basically, you kind of said it without saying, is that you kind of need to be courageous and you also kind of need to be bold when being in the place of entrepreneurship. Like being shy doesn't get you anywhere. You just have to like go out there and speak and market yourself because no one is actually going to do it for you. And especially because we live in a generation that makes so much noise. If you're not making noise, you're not going to be seen.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting that. So in terms of someone who's starting off, they're just doing their business and they have this idea, and like you said, they might not have a network of friends or people who are, in the area or arena of the business. How would you say, what are some tools that people can use to best build their network um, going forward so that they're able to delegate and bounce ideas off people who are in the kind of the arena that they're trying to pursue?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to start going to events around that sector. So like I said, I started going to fashion and business events and surrounding myself with people who were doing what I wanted to do. But I think as well as that, I've become part of many different kind of entrepreneurial and business spaces. So there's like incubator programs, accelerator programs of people who are starting businesses and have kind of a similar entrepreneurial mindset. And also there's access to skill building workshops, masterclasses that equip you with the knowledge of what you need in business, as well as other people who are like-minded. So I think I would seek them out and attend those masterclasses and workshops, as well as like networking with your peers, because there's so many people out there. It just might not be within your friendship group. And that's okay, because in London, there's so many opportunities to upskill and a lot of them are free or low cost. So it's just about knowing where to go and engaging, leaving your house, going to those events, because a lot of them are free and they're happening every single day of the week.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry, my
Uh,
battery died halfway through, so the camera cut off. But thank you. I caught the last bit of what you said, and like going to the events and people like around. One thing I would suggest as well, LinkedIn is so powerful. I say this all the time, is literally a great tool to use, especially just like, you know, messaging people. Like I think that's the one of the platforms which is really great of just like you said, cold emailing, but just messaging people that you don't know, and they're more willing to respond because they know it's around like professionalism, business, and all that kind of stuff. But Charles, as well, with you, and you said you do like traveling and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to ask the understanding that, is traveling like a passion for you? Do you think entrepreneurs should start businesses from a place of passion, or can you start businesses that aren't passion but still be successful in it?
Yeah, I believe you can start entrepreneurship based on what you want to do, like your passion. Because I started this travel and surfing as a hobby.
Hmm.
I was just trying to help people,
Okay.
and then it turned into like what I'm doing now. So I believe first of all, it needs to be like something you really want to do, something that interests you, because you can't obviously do something that does not interest you. Yeah.
Lee, there is a question in the chat for Charles. So if you could
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
and
just
it reads, after the lockdown, there was a lot of excitement around traveling back to Ghana, particularly from London client base. Have you faced any challenges in recent years or noticed a dip in interest?
yeah, I'm just
Do you want me to read it again for you?
yeah, read the question again. Yeah, I'm just
Um,
finding.
after the lockdown, there was a lot of excitement around traveling back to Ghana, particularly from London client base. Have you faced any challenges in recent years or noticed a dip in interest?
Oh yeah, so we face a couple of like problems with our clientele base as well. Before the lockdown, there was like I think that was in the year 2019. It was declared as a year of return. So
Yeah.
basically, like people from like diaspora, America, United Kingdom, Germany, and everyone was coming back home. And then we had lockdown.
Mm.
So what happened to the business?
So what happens in the business? Yeah, it's all about the never giving up attitude because
Okay.
we obviously have like how do I put it? Do I say a development plan for like 10 years, what we want to achieve?
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what we set our eyes on. As brother brother Henry said, obviously it's not about the money sometimes. It's about the passion you put into what you are doing. You need to believe in what you are doing and then what you want to achieve in the future, not just now.
Okay, so you
Because
would
I
say
can,
that,
yeah. Oh
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
go on. Yeah, go
So
on.
you would say that as an entrepreneur, it's not just like, oh, I just want to try this business and just see how it goes, but you actually have to plan
Yeah,
ahead
you
of
need to,
time. So what
yeah,
you want to achieve. Okay,
achieve, yeah.
okay, totally understand. Um, Before
Yeah.
I hand back over, um, as well with sorry, Brother Henry, in terms of your business, what kind of plan did you set out to make sure that you were successful with what you're doing? Because you said that you didn't start off with money. What are some of the ways did you raise capital to be able to do what you're doing today? Did you try to approach the government? Did you do like, like community funding? What ways did you basically try to raise capital for what you're doing now?
Um, Me personally, we're looking at getting a government loan, but when you're dealing with another person who believe in pushing stuff with prayer and everything, to look at in another direction. And Josiane was she is just, I would say she's the backbone in terms of encouragement and dealing with other stuff. Because I'm that kind of person. I just want boom, 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 and she said, "No, no, let's do this, let's do this." Let's do this. Frustrating sometimes, but again, you just have to, because you have a partner working with you. You have to listen. But what we try to do is to work with the local authority, because that's where our funding comes from, and for them to, because we have to go out there and get the houses and present it to them. They have to come and do their checks and make sure the house is suitable for what we're doing before they could start paying. So it's a long time, frustrating thing, but it's rewarding because, for example, when we started in Enfield, it took us almost 7 months before they could pay for the house, and we still got people living in the house. So imagine, for 7 months we're paying rent. We're using our own money to pay the rent, to pay the bills, light bills, gas bill, internet, everything. So at some point, we really, really get to that stage and say, you know what, let's just close this house and move on, you know. But again, perseverance, like I said. So even the landlords and the agents that we work with, again, were chasing us to give back the house. So I was like, no, we're not going to give the house. We're going to push. So eventually, we're able to go through all the process of what the local authorities is looking for. And because we know they're going to backdate the money, so they backdated the money. And that's how genuinely we started. because it was one house. Because when we started in Brent Council, it was going fine until the guy that we're working with decided to hijack the project and think he's going to do it. So we just leave it to it. Said, no, we're not going to. Well, I was like, no, we're going to go to this. We're going to call the police. We're going to go to court again. We just and said, no, let's leave it. God will fight for us. I said, okay, let's go with that approach. So eventually we leave him and we came start again in Enfield because it was 7 months. We're waiting for payment. So with that payment, that's how we started. So we're able to acquire more houses and able to push on. Yeah. So most of our funding is coming from the local authority, and by special grace of God, we got the opportunity to apply for grants or other loans, but we decided not to do it. So we just based our revenues from the local authorities that we're working with.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. And I just have one more question. This is for Talia, and before I hand back over to Pastor Mike for him to finish moderate everything else. The question is, 'cause I know you're in the beauty industry, and I want to ask, how did you raise capital for what you're doing? For all the ladies on here who are in the beauty industry and like beauty as well, like myself, what are some of the ways did you raise capital for what you're doing? And also, how did you make sure that your brand stands out in the industry that is probably, people are trying to do the same thing? How do you make your brand come to the forefront for it to be recognized by, the chair of Rachel's, for them to see that what you're doing, is a level of excellence that the market needs? And then I hand over back to Boss Mike. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just to clarify, I'm in the fashion industry. So yeah,
Sorry, fashion industry. Yeah.
no problem. But I first of all went the debt route. So I got a startup loan, which is a government-backed loan, which I think is accessible. I don't think there's an age cap, but I raised £25,000 that way, Virgin startup loan at the time, and that allowed because I guess different to Henry and Charles, I have a product business, so I guess it requires me to buy stock, and there's like minimum orders, which is something that needs to be um, thought about quite a lot because it will really dictate how much you need to get started. I think Charles mentioned, was it Charles? No, it was Henry that mentioned not getting carried away with doing too many things. So I started with 3 products in 5 shades. And a lot of people were like, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? But I think just doing one thing well, and I only did tights, that was it, in brown shades, not all shades. And a lot of people are like, why don't you do white for white people as well? And I think you really have to be specific. It comes to I think it's important for 2 reasons. Number one, just a cost reason. And number two, marketing. So who are you speaking to? And it's better to be really specific and speak to that audience rather than I'm here for everyone and I'm trying to sell to everyone because that's just not going to work. So I think for me, it was about defining who my target audience is, which is women of color, who are radiant, ambitious, and confident, which was the name of our products. And then just for me, it was important I had never really seen a brand that spoke to me and my likes as a woman who likes to travel the world, do nice things, see nice places, live in nice places, and just represents us as a holistic human being. So I think when it came to branding, I was very sensitive of just how I'm talking to this audience, the imagery that I'm using, the models that I'm using. And I think that's really how we stood out, like as an empowering brand, not only just for women of color, but who celebrated the diversity of these women and allowed them to be seen and celebrated. So rather than just being a brand that happened to have brown shades. So I think that was the real differentiator. And I think for me, someone who's lived in many different countries, I was born in Australia, came here at 15, went to New York, have lived in Brazil. So I've been around. So I'm really speaking to real people like myself and my friends who I know. I'm not a mythical creature, but I know that there's a lot of us. So in the branding, I really kind of tried to encapsulate that. And the shades are named after cosmopolitan and desirable cities, including Havana, Rio, New York, Nairobi, and Paris. And yeah, so I think a lot of who we are, we can bring into the brand, and that's how it can stand out. It doesn't have to be generic. Tights doesn't have to be boring. And so it's really kind of reimagining what this product, which is a basic everyday product, which has been done before, how that can be different and be viewed differently by a specific audience.
That's amazing. And I just want to add, what I've noticed that your brand is like it's niche, so it's talking to a specific person. And hearing your story, how you lived in different countries and stuff, I realized that people buy into the sense of like community and they buy the story. So with entrepreneurship, I think what I'm learning from this call is that people want to buy sometimes who you are, and they want to be a part of the community of what you are doing. So it kind of causes them to, want that brand. Even if someone else is doing it, they're mainly just buying your story basically. So I kind of took that from that. And also niches are also a good way of starting businesses too. When it comes to services businesses and product businesses. Yes. Pastor Mike, I'll hand back over to you because I'm aware of time. For you
Thank
to.
you. I think you made me go on a commercial break, so that's nice. I get sometimes. But Talia, before you go, um, so we have like different people, young men, young women who would want to do something. And I think it's that place that we want to come into. And I'm speaking to everyone who is on this platform. If you have any business, if you have any idea, if you have anything that you want to start up and you need a bit of help, you need somebody to speak to. I would encourage you come up freely. If you need to be connected to any of the speakers, we will gladly do that because as Black people, or we should be able to help push every one of us, like this one, into this industry. What prevents us from pushing them as far as they could? Let's make them a success. Let's do everything possible to be able to make whatever they are doing, like come to that limelight. But what is your last message that you give to any person who wants to go into the entrepreneurship field? Is entrepreneurship that important? Is this something that if anybody would want to do it, like, is this something that can be done now, or we have to just keep postponing till we can't do anything again? What's your take on that?
I will say, for me personally, I believe that my business is a God-given vision.
Okay.
Um, and I think for a lot of people, I'm sure Charles and Henry will probably agree that they had the idea, and every step of the way, you're guided and you're given the provision for the next step. You don't know the whole picture, but I think you have to have the faith that God will provide and guide you to the people and the resources that you need when you need it. So for me, it's just been, what can I do right now with the resources that I have right now? And even if it's a little thing, even if it's researching manufacturers right now, do that. And then the door will open for the next phase. And I think a lot of the time, we have an idea and we think we don't have all the answers right now. That is okay. But start today with what you have, and you will be led to the next phase when that time is right. So I think don't what I would say in summary is, don't think you have to have it all together. Don't think you have to have all the money right now. Don't think you need to have the network right now. You have something. You have an idea and you have the internet, for example, or you have a friend who's willing to start it with you, or you're at university and you have a sewing machine and a podcasting studio at your fingertips that you don't have to pay for. So whatever it is, you have something that you can get started today, like not next week, today.
today.
So get started. Just get started.
That's I think that's the message. Just get started. Just whatever it will take for you to start, just start.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. I think we just will be kind of wrapping up. But Charles, let me come to you. Um, I said there are many people who I think maybe they would want to do something, but one, they don't have all the expertise, they don't have all the knowledge, they don't have everything it takes to be able to put things together. Um, what's your take on people who you think that maybe if they could come as two, three, four, and start a corporation, start a business, start an industry, start something, it could work. Somebody is thinking, what's your take on partnership? Let me just ask it this way.
Yeah, to me, partnership is a good idea. Obviously, like it's all about asking. You wouldn't know who wants to do what you want to do. So that's how it started literally. Like when I started, I met the one I started with was a mate in the army. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's where it started from. And then we had a conversation. So after having a conversation, I knew he was doing what I was doing. Yeah, so how obviously did we have to turn that into an entrepreneurship like a business for us?
Okay.
So to me, partnership is good because you wouldn't know. You might not have the ideas others may have. Yeah. So it might probably take like two to collaborate to make it a success.
All right. Talia and Charles, I think that they don't want you to go, so let me go to back to it. So Talia, I'm coming back to you again. As a Mercy is asking, when it comes to building an online presence for your brand, what would be your two top tips? You just want to.
Um, I would actually say go offline. Go offline, as in do pop-up events, meet people in person, um, because I think you build community faster that way. So that's number one. Go offline first. And then two, don't be afraid to be the face of the brand. So treat yourself as the first customer and do testimonials, try on the product or demonstrate the product, but you are the first customer and your face needs to be everywhere. You don't need models.
Wow. Wow. I'm just trying to soak this one in. Wow. All right. Minister Lee, go ahead. You muted. So
Sorry, there's a question in the chat for Talia and Charles.
yeah,
Um,
That's
that's me
what.
just read. Oh, sorry.
but Talia, when you say go offline, what do you mean?
So I mean, like attend pop-up events, festivals, wherever you can sell person to person. And
Okay.
what I found is doing that for the first 2 years, I did that like at least once a month. I would be at a market, a festival, a pop-up, or whatever. And those customers meeting me, telling my story in person, became online customers. Some of those have been customers from the very beginning. We're now 8 years old, but I met them in person and I connected with them in
So you
person.
use the offline to market the online.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah. Just to add to what Talia said. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Charles.
how we started. Yeah, we started offline. So we were literally like everywhere, like in every event, we were there to show
Everywhere.
we're
Be
there to show our
everywhere.
presence. Yeah. That's how we started before we came online. So before we came online, people knew us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So, Charles, um, oh, did I finish asking you my question? Um, so I
Yeah,
was
go back to
ask,
your question again. That's Mike.
so I was asking you that what's your last take for anybody who would want to go into any of these field providing services for people out there? What should they look at it in the first place? From your perspective, from
It's,
your
yeah,
expertise.
from my perspective, obviously, it's your willingness to serve people.
Okay.
That's what we are into. Yeah, your willingness to serve people. If you're not willing to serve people, you can't go into that venture. So it needs to start from there before you obviously think of doing it.
All right. Um, Mr. Harry,
Yeah.
I'm I didn't want you to talk again because I'm still processing the one you said it doesn't have to be money. It has to be a mindset. Because
Mm.
somebody is sitting there and their whole problem is that I need the money to start a business. If I don't get that 10,000 to be able to start, I'm not starting. And I think many times when they ask people like, oh, why are you starting? Like people are gifted, people they can do things, they have like certain talent that these people can be able to turn this into business. And when you ask, oh, you don't have what it takes to be able to get in there, like 1,001 excuse. What is your advice
Well,
to a person listening to you?
when you look at even some of the billionaires that we have in the world, for example, look at Alan Sugar. If you listen to Alan Sugar's story, he never had the money to start the business. He was doing cardboard sales, taking his old clothes, going to cardboard sales and sell them. That's how he generated something. So he was not waiting for the bulk money. When you have an idea of something, you try and put it down. Sometimes I think people just rush into things thinking once I got the idea today, then it should happen tomorrow. Sometimes it takes years to put things in place. And like all the other speakers said, if you don't try and um, what's the word I want to use? Integrate yourself into other people's, like have an idea, talk to people, you wouldn't know who is there to support you. I
Mm,
always said everyone that is in business, you want somebody to support you. If you have somebody who say, okay, you know what, I want to come in partnership with you, you sell the idea and they know exactly what this entails. It's always is good because it's an added bonus to what you're doing.
Mm.
You share an idea, but and I jack my idea and they'll start to do business. It does happen, don't get me wrong. But again, sometimes if the business is for you, regardless of what other person is doing, and I always said that to myself, you know, business is for everyone. I could do, me and you could do the same business. You could go and do whatever you want to do in rehabilitation, and I could still do my own thing and still make whatever I have to make because of the connection I've created for myself and because of the interconnection, the kind of networking that you've created because it's all about networking, you know. If, for example, now I'm talking to now I know that Charles is doing what he's doing, and I want to do that business with him. Now that I've got the idea, I'll sit down with him and say, okay, how can I join this business? How can I do this? How can I do that? Then that's how you do business, because business again is not just put your eggs in one basket. So my genuine advice would be if you have the idea, go for it. Don't wait until the money comes before you start the business. Put your project in place. Start writing it up. Start thinking what you want to do. Try to like what's her name again? The other lady, Talia. Once you have all the idea, then you go for it. You start searching. You wouldn't know how much information you could get from the internet and how
mm,
many things you could get by just network with other people. There are so many, many, many groups. Like she said about the eBright. If you go on eBright, you could see so many program coming up that you're interested in. Go there and learn, pay. Some of them you pay some money to go there, some of them is free. Get your tickets and go and listen. Because the more you listen to things that you're interested in, the more you have the idea. Like for me, like I said, I was blessed and fortunate because of I was in the field. So I don't go in eBright or searching for more information because I was there already. So I was getting information because I was part of it. But for you to be successful in business, and again, um, the challenge is don't think about, oh, is it gonna work? Is it not gonna work? Tell me which businessman or woman in this world that have tried to do business without having a setback. You have a setback, but that what makes you strong. That's the challenge. You have a setback, you think, what, let me quit. But quitting is not an option. Regardless of how things go bad, always think like, no, I could still make because I got the idea, I could still put things together. So it's perseverance, it's faith, and it's always good to network with other people, talk to people because like what Papa was always saying in church, sometimes people are sitting closer to you in church, you don't even know this might be the help that you need. So the more you talk to people, the more you get the idea of what you need. If I've been seeing Charles all along, I never knew that's what he's doing. Now that I know he's in tourism, so imagine now if I want to get a nice holiday in Ghana, I'll talk to him and say, Charles, this is what I want to do. Yeah, that's how you get to meet people,
Yeah.
learn things. But when we tend to go into our own small circle, you'll never get the idea. You'll never.
And it mostly happens. There are times probably in church you're speaking to somebody and they are going through challenges, and you know that if they will speak to this person, it will just be like
Change things for you. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm. So
Um, wow, that's for me personally. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed with these conversations. I don't know about people, but I'm extremely blessed with these conversations, and I think we would want to. This will be the beginning of like many exciting and many like great things that we can do starting from like on this footing. So there's it. Anyone who is listening to us, regardless of whatever your idea that you think you want to be in a certain build, certain industry, certain field, um, whatever you would want to do, if you come to that crossroad and you don't know what to do, um, send us a message. Okay, I'm putting down 4 extra Gmail accounts in there. Send us an email because probably whatever you're doing, we could be able to connect you to somebody who should be able to help. How then do we team you up with people who will be able to give you the kind of help that you need? So we would want every single person who have an idea, who has a business that they want to do, they have something they are thinking. You're just looking for an advice. Maybe you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for somebody to be able to, okay, how then can I get in touch with Talia? How can I get in touch with Charles? How can I get in touch with Henry? How could they be able to assist me? I want to go into fashion. I want to go into wholesaling. I want to go into the beauty industry. I'm doing hair. I'm doing food. I'm doing transportation. Talk of it, like anything. There should be somebody who has they've been able to walk the miles and have a certain expertise might be able to help and push you forward. So we're putting it out there. Would want to help as many people as possible. And some of the, as Brother Henry is saying, some of the businesses, it will just take a research away. Let me share this and we'll wrap up. I remember I had a friend in China and he started a business. And the whole downfall of the business was because of research. So he put together 200,000, got the money, got into the factory, did the products, come into the market. It's on the market. I think I was there. We went to one more. Then one of the Chinese told him that no, the product shouldn't have been this way because our people like our product this kind of manner. And it means all the money, everything, it, the whole disaster could have been saved by a research away. asking somebody, how do your products look like? How do you people like your products? And now everything has to come to a close just because of research. So it's important. You need to speak to somebody. You need to be able to find out, validate the idea that you said you have. Maybe somebody will be able to speak something and that will lighten you up and bring you to a whole new level of light altogether. So thank you so much for your time, Talia. Thank you so much for your time, Charles. Thank you so much for your time, Henry, for sharing this nugget of wisdom. I know definitely we will come back again. We will fine tune and have this conversation on another level, like all over again. I'm looking to one day, let's have, how do you call it? How do you call this? Lions Den or lions? Shark, sharks,
Dragon's Den.
dragons den. Yeah.
Well,
I'm looking for us to have something like that. That I have like a group of people, investors sitting there ready. Bring your idea because people think that they have an idea, but sometimes when you begin to speak and you punch holes into the, then you know that okay, you begin to see like the loopholes in the ideas that they have. So somebody need to speak to you, and somebody need to be able to help you fine tune what you have to be able to bring it out. So there are a lot of things that we can do together. There are a lot of projects that, so this is not the end. We are just getting started. If you have any question, you could be able to still drop it. I think that the questions, we will still send them as personal attacks to them. We are not finishing with them right now. We will send them right away. Any question that will come, we send them right away. And it's something that we want to do on our social media channels is that we would want to questions that comes in after our programs. We would want to have maybe our speakers maybe do a video, maybe just a 5 minutes broadcast answering some of these questions to us and all of it. So last words, Brother Henry, what's your last words?
Last words, I'm open to anyone. If you need advice or you think you want a partnership, we're not greedy people. If you have an idea, the more the merrier, as long as you have a good faith in doing business and you're not just looking to come and say, yeah, I want to come and make millions. Because you'd be surprised to see how long the millions will come to you. And again, business is patient. It's patience, it's perseverance. And you shouldn't even create a room to say, I'm tired, let me just quit. No, quitting is not an option. So regardless of how bad things will come, how business will go the other way, believe the idea is there and you could still able to resurrect anything and start again.
All right. Fantastic. Talia, I know that it's ladies first, but I'm just trying to pin you down. Charles, what's your last words?
So my last words will be have the faith to start whatever you want to do. You obviously need to set goals as well, like keep goals, and then whatever you want to do, just pray into it as well for direction.
Okay. Wow. Great. Talia, what's your last words that you have for us?
My last words is I think a lot of the time people think that they have to leave their job to start a business, which is, I think, the biggest myth. Don't do that.
Okay.
Do it alongside your day job. Allow it to be your 5 to 9 for now and let it grow gradually, slowly, persistently. But you don't need to leave your job.
Oh wow. Because I was getting to fire myself tomorrow morning.
A very good advice.
Because your income is really important. Power into it's the seed. Your seed finance is your salary.
Okay.
Yeah. I buy into that honestly because like I said earlier on, I don't want to take your time because when we go 7 months without having 1p from government, so imagine if both of us were not working by that time. So that should have been the end of the business, But because we're both working, so we use our resources. It was a very, very challenging time because you have to pay your own bill, and at the end of the day, you pay somebody's bill, and you're still waiting. For 7 months, it was a headache, but we're able to pull through.
So interesting. It looks like all our speakers, they're still keeping their day job. So if you are thinking of quitting, advise yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. It's just been amazing. It's just been amazing. Thank you so much once again. Thank you so much once again for having this time with us and sharing your thoughts and sharing all the advice, expertise, everything that you have pouring into us. God bless you so much. We are very grateful and we look forward to speaking with you again some other time. Thank you once again. Uh,
As long as the check follows later.
yeah, the check will follow later. All right. Is that Nicola? Would you be able to close us?
Yeah, thank you everyone. Charles, Talia, and Henry, we really appreciate the time taken to speak to us. So just close quickly in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this evening. We thank you, Lord, for the speakers that have shared the wisdom that you've imparted onto them, Lord. We pray that you will bless their businesses, you'll bless their vision, Lord, that you'll give them the strength to run this race, Lord Jesus. Father God, for those of us who have also attended this webinar, we pray, Father God, whatever you've planted within us, that we'll be able to bear fruit, Lord, that we will also run this race. And even as we get tired, Lord, that you'll strengthen us to bring this vision into reality. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. All right. Thank you so much. God bless you and see you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.